can be agnostic, but you don't need to like it. You can just use the infrastructure to settle your value very efficiently and very fast. From the efficiency standpoint, the Bitcoin network and also particularly the Lightning network is so much more efficient than the current SWIFT system. Yeah, I think this has psychological reasons because people are familiar with their bank accounts. Shifting narratives over the years. So once I heard the first time about Bitcoin in early 2011, it was really like about a currency, so a medium of exchange. So I think Bitcoin has evolved, and this is also what we are seeing at 21 Bitcoin, for example. A lot of our users, I would say more than 90% are using Bitcoin as an investment. I think we need to go a lot higher to really make it happen that Bitcoin can be a medium of exchange for daily transactions.
Hi Daniel, thank you so much for coming on. And also thank you so much for 21 Bitcoin to invite us to this amazing place.
Yeah, thanks for having me also. We're here located at the Electric Love Festival in Salzburg with a nice view. We are still waiting for the show to begin, but yeah, nice to be on your show.
Absolutely. You were once before already in the show, but it's a long time ago. It was like, I think the very start of my podcast. So probably nobody that watches this episode watched the first one, or almost nobody. So maybe in the starting, give us some overview of like who you are and why you're excited about Bitcoin.
For sure. So my name is Daniel Winkelhammer. I was born and raised here in Salzburg. I'm 32 years old, and yeah, since my childhood I was intrigued by technology. So as a little kid I assembled computers and also disassembled them. So I destroyed one of my mom's computers when I was 8, but I was having fun. I was already really into technology, so computers fascinated me since from a young age. And then I also went to school to learn programming, to write code basically. And yeah, and this was also my first encounter then. So when I was around I think 17 years, I heard first about Bitcoin. This was, I think, early 2011, so pretty early. We had a classmate that was paying his servers back then with Bitcoin. So he hosted servers somewhere offshore, and the only way to pay these servers back then was Bitcoin. So this was my first encountering with it. Unfortunately, I didn't spend so much time, and I forgot it. My next encounter was in 2013 or 14 when the Silk Road time really happened. I was also looking at it, and I was fascinated that there's like a dark net. There are some markets where you can buy illegal stuff with a currency, Bitcoin. And yeah, I heard it a few years before, so I researched about it. And then I also tried to buy Bitcoin. But back then in 2013, it was still very hard to get Bitcoin. I can remember that I logged into Local Bitcoins, which was a peer-to-peer platform where you can search for people who were selling their Bitcoin for euros, in my case. And I was looking at the webpage, and I found some offers. But in the end, I didn't choose to meet someone because I thought to myself, yeah, this could be like shady. What if I get robbed or something? And I forgot it again, almost 4 years. So it was 2017 when Bitcoin really caught my attention then. I remember it quite vividly when I read an article about Bitcoin that the price has again reached $1,000. So I was thinking to myself, okay, now I have like heard about Bitcoin a few times, and it's still not dead. A lot of people thought that it will be dead, and I thought to myself, I need to have a deeper look into it. And this was once I fell into the rabbit hole. yeah, from 2017, I think there was no day that I haven't read about Bitcoin, listened to a Bitcoin show, read a book about it, or were in contact with Bitcoin. So I guess this was my story. Yeah.
I love that. There was a lot of interesting things in there. Have you seen the Ross Ulbricht story that he is getting released? And I think he spoke at Vegas. Did you follow that one?
Yeah, I followed it. Yeah.
How did you think about that? We're seeing like the first marketplace, and then he's getting arrested, and now it's kind of came full circle to Donald Trump, and he's getting released again.
Yeah, I think it's super good for the community, and also, of course, for him personally. I think he also received a lot of donations after he was released. So
absolutely,
yeah. Tens of thousands of Bitcoin. So good for him. I hope he's enjoying his time, and good that he is free now.
Absolutely, it's interesting when we talk about this perspective switch when we think about what was Bitcoin in 2011, 12, 13, when you had a really hard time to buy Bitcoin, and now with 21 Bitcoin, it's pretty easy to buy Bitcoin. It's pretty fast also to buy Bitcoin, and you don't have the feeling like you had back in the day that you do something shady. Now it's like regulated, the institutions are coming, MiCA license, all those things. How have you seen the Bitcoin community grow over the past years when you were into Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think there are shifting narratives over the years. So once I heard the first time about Bitcoin in early 2011, it was really like about a currency, so a medium of exchange. So most of the people were talking also in 2013, like using it for payments in the darknet. So it was really about transferring money and not like really an investment like it is seen now. So I think Bitcoin has evolved probably in the mainstream also from like a currency like thing to restore value, to an investment. And this is also what we are seeing at 21 Bitcoin, for example. A lot of our users, I would say more than 90% are using Bitcoin as an investment, which also makes sense, I think, here in Europe, also especially here in Austria, because we have capital gains tax, unfortunately, since 4 years on gains on Bitcoin. So it doesn't really make sense to use it as a currency in the day-to-day life. And I think also the mainstream narrative is about an alternative asset to invest into. But I still think that Bitcoin plays a significant role in enhancing transfers globally. So I think Bitcoin has really an edge when you want to transfer value globally around the world, because nowadays that's super painful. So we had a few years ago we had a content creator that we paid in Australia, and we tried to do it via bank transfer, and it was not even possible. So and if you try to do it, you need to research, you need to open a dedicated bank account for it, for example, TransferWise or Wise. You have like very high fees. It takes a lot of time. There are so many institutions involved in the process. You have like this currency switches, so you cannot even send euros to Australian dollars directly. You need to exchange it to US dollars, then send it via the SWIFT network, and then exchange it back to Australian dollars. So I think there's also, from my opinion, the potential that Bitcoin will disrupt like international transfers. And I think this is something that could be also a narrative in the coming years, because right now Bitcoin is emancipating from all of the other crypto assets, like in the store of value discussion. But the transactional thing is not really on the mainstream media right now. But I think as more institutions adopt it, and as more people have more value from their wealth in Bitcoin, I think this will also be a potential that Bitcoin could fulfill in the future.
And I see that already right now, where I have one content. I have two content creators that work with me on the podcast that are not in Austria, and one is in Colombia and one is El Salvador. The one in El Salvador I pay in Bitcoin. The one in Colombia I have to pay with the bank, which costs me around 10 to 15 euros and them around 10 to 15 euros. And the sum is like 1,000 euros per month. So it's not a huge sum, and still you have to pay 20 euros from it. El Salvador, same example, same amount roughly, and you have to pay 70 cents for the transaction on chain right now. I mean, now we are having kind of a luxury on the Bitcoin main chain because the fees are very low. And you're like, why would I do that in fiat? But it's interesting. I've never thought about that actually. That first it was the currency, and then it came back to store of value, and now hopefully over the next decades we can hopefully come back to the currency. Do you think that even on like buying things on the internet with the Lightning Network and with things like that, that this will actually come back, or is there a way that Bitcoin might just be the international settlement layer and we have tokens on top of it?
Yeah, I think there are two potential scenarios. So one is that you really pay with Bitcoin for things. I think that so to make this happen, a lot of the global population needs to have like some balance in Bitcoin, so that more people accept it. It's like a network effect that you need to have. So if nobody has a Bitcoin balance, nobody will accept it, or not nobody, but fewer people. So I think first of all, it needs to be like the store of value, that people have a balance in that. And once we have a network effect, Bitcoin could be used as a medium of exchange more broadly, also in daily transactions. So probably this will take some time now. I think we're around 2 to 3% global adoption right now of Bitcoin. I think we need to go a lot higher to really make it happen, that Bitcoin can be a medium of exchange for daily transactions. So this is the first thing. And also the second potential I see is that the Bitcoin network can be used to transfer other currencies or assets on it. So as you said, to use the Bitcoin or the Lightning Network as a settlement layer to, for example, send stable coins, coupled to sats, for example. So I think this is also interesting because from the efficiency standpoint, the Bitcoin network and also particularly the Lightning Network is so much more efficient than the current SWIFT system with all of the banks. And also, like, what a lot of people don't get, I guess, is if you pay with credit card or a bank transfer, particularly in international transfers, that even if the money shows up in your bank account, the settlement probably happens only a few days, weeks later. So there's so much stuff involved there which is inefficient. That's also why you pay a lot of fees. I heard stories yesterday from Chris from Seyr that he paid someone abroad with fiat, then they lost their money. So it took several months to get the money back. And I think Bitcoin could be a potential solution for that. So you can be agnostic. If you like Bitcoin, the asset, but you don't need to like it, you can just use the infrastructure to settle your value very efficiently and very fast.
Yeah, there are a lot of interesting things, even with like Bitcoin mining. It's a whole different topic, but I've seen the Bitcoin mining network deloading the load of the network, of the electricity capacity. And with that, they're able to actually make a case for Bitcoin mining. Even if you don't like Bitcoin, even if you really hate Bitcoin mining, you still feel like, yeah, like sometimes there's like peaks and then you activate the Bitcoin miners. And then if there's, or like you deactivate the Bitcoin miners. And if you have like a lower load, you activate the Bitcoin miners, which is amazing use case where like if you look at that infrastructure, the Bitcoin mining, the settlement layer of Bitcoin, you're like, I'll use that network anyways, even if I don't like the asset. But then I'm like, how can you not like the asset?
Yeah, and I think there are already a lot of companies working on that, making it so easy that you don't even know that you're using Bitcoin, the network, as an underlying settlement network. So I think this will be the future for international transfers, because those companies can make it really cheap and fast and have an edge on Western Union and all of those old banks. Yeah.
You said something interesting with 2 and 3% adoption. I'm always curious because I hear the same number kind of around that range. Where I'm kind of interested in what you're thinking and what you're also seeing with 21 Bitcoin. Because I feel like we are way earlier than that, and I explain why. Because I think the people that adopt Bitcoin here, that really understand it and they're really going deeper than 50% of their net worth into Bitcoin, it's a very small amount of people. And most people, I would guess, have like 10% maybe of the wealth, or like 5% of the wealth, or like a very small percentage of the wealth actually in Bitcoin. And they just like have, I don't know, like 5,000 euros on 21 Bitcoin, and they have like a big stock portfolio. Maybe they have like real estate portfolios and other things. But we also count those people that just like have a little diversification play in Bitcoin as kind of Bitcoiners. But if you then come to this hyper Bitcoinization, this Bitcoin world, maybe in like 100 years, 200 years, where the default money would be Bitcoin, the allocation to it probably will be a lot higher. So I'm always curious with like this 2-3% adoption rates. Like, I feel like more we are like at 0.5 or 0.2. How do you look at that?
Yeah, I see it quite similar. So I guess the 2 or 3%, as you explained, are really people that have at least a little bit in Bitcoin, but not they're not like Bitcoiners who are really believing in the asset, who are really understanding like the implications of Bitcoin also. I think they're not like dedicated. They're just tip their toe into it. They want to make money, of course. So I would say more than 95 or even 99% of all the people that get into Bitcoin first come because of the price. So not a lot of people come because of like philosophical reasons, for example. So there are some, but not the majority. So as you said, I also would guess that we are way under 1% of people in the global population that really has a significant amount of their portfolio in Bitcoin. This is also what we are seeing at 21 Bitcoin. So maybe a little bit biased because of course we're like only Bitcoin focused. So we do not sell any altcoins or other investments. And of course that brings us more people that are heavy into it. We have a lot of people that are also like diversifying away from their traditional assets. We have a lot of people that have a huge stock portfolio, which are they partly or fully selling and going into Bitcoin. We see a lot of money coming from real estate into Bitcoin. We also see a little bit of gold, but not so much. So I think the clients of us are more like from the traditional finance space, where they have a stock portfolio, for example, and also real estate. And this is funneling into Bitcoin. And still, I think we have a lot of clients that have fewer than 30 or 40% of their net worth in Bitcoin. But it's getting more and more. So what we are also experiencing is that our clients stay at 21 Bitcoin. There are also more than 50% that are doing regular investments. So that means either DCA, for example, like buying daily, weekly, monthly, or they're doing one-time investments, but also recurrently, but not in a predefined regularity. But if they see good market opportunities, they really buy. And this is also interesting that we have our best days significantly when the price drops. So we see like real FOMO, that people see good buying opportunities when the Bitcoin price dips, falls. So we have a lot of volume, like people buying huge amounts then.
It's super interesting to see exactly that, because a lot of people are very afraid that are coming new to Bitcoin. And we talked about it before, making content for Bitcoiners and making content for people that just coming into Bitcoin. And a lot of those questions like, oh, like I don't feel safe with Bitcoin. Like, how do I know that it's not going to zero? And those questions, where with your insight from 21 Bitcoin, the down days are those days where people buy the most of Bitcoin, and to kind of buy those things up. And now we even have big institutions with Strategy and BlackRock and a lot of small and medium-sized businesses that actually buy a lot of Bitcoin, and they don't really care that much about the price. They don't panic side and have FOMO like the other ones. How do you see kind of this buying behavior and maybe even changing with the cycles?
Yeah, what we experience is when the price rises and when the media encourages Bitcoin or writes about Bitcoin, we see a lot of new inflow of new users that are getting sucked into it, and then are over the months and years are getting more educated. So we emphasize financial
Education.
Yeah. Thanks. And we try that our users really understand what they're holding, what they're investing into it. And I think this is also what we are experiencing. It as long or the longer a client stays with us, the more he loses those fears about price drops. I think what is also noteworthy is that a lot of people who understand what Bitcoin stands for and what it is do not see the volatility as risk. So in the traditional financial sector, volatility is always like the risk. So, and Bitcoin is pretty volatile, so very risky in the traditional sense. But from a fundamental perspective, I don't see so many risks that Bitcoin now has. I think we are at the price point there where we have a lot less risks and a lot more upside than, for example, 5 years ago, 2017, once the risk that governments will ban Bitcoin was existent and was like really a threat. But right now we see in Europe we have like the MiCA regulation, markets in crypto assets regulation, which is like setting the path how you need to behave if you are a company in the Bitcoin space. And Europe wouldn't do that if they want to ban Bitcoin. We see the same in the US, where the presidency is very pro Bitcoin, and in all of Western world, there's, I think, not a high chance that governments will ban Bitcoin because it's also too big. So it's significant. You mentioned it, that a lot of small, medium businesses, also big asset managers are right now invested into Bitcoin or have, they don't want that the government will ban it. So I think a lot of the risks that Bitcoin has, fundamental risks, protocol risks, are overpriced or overvalued by the mainstream media. So for example, we get a lot of questions around the quantum computing algorithms. So this is really something that people feel is a urgent risk. So that they feel that maybe in 1 to 2 years Bitcoin will be dead because quantum computers will hack it. But they don't see that Bitcoin is like this upgradable software. So I think Bitcoin is way better equipped against a quantum attack than the banking system. So I think they should worry about their savings on their bank account more from this threat than Bitcoin. And I think this is something what is also a little bit shifting, so that volatility is not the only marker for risk in the market and in the mainstream, but this is getting slowly more in the focus of the people. Yeah.
It's so interesting with quantum computing because everyone is like, oh, Bitcoin, but what about like Amazon? What about your traditional banking account. How quantum resistant is that already? So you kind of go to, and I think that's always what happens with new innovations. The new innovation has to prove itself on every aspect, while the incumbent system has all the problems and doesn't have to prove itself. Which is really funny and interesting to kind of observe. You're like, yeah, like why are you questioning Bitcoin with quantum computing, but not your bank account, not your other stockbrokers, not like, why are you not questioning them for that? But this extremely secure, biggest network of the world that has never been hacked, that you're questioning.
The first time I ever made any money, I got myself from that money a watch. And ever since then, I collect timepieces to remember times where I achieved some milestone. That's why I got the Bitcoin 2025 edition when I went to my first ever American Bitcoin conference. So for me, the Bitcoin watches from Coin Vigilante represents the time that we are living in. For every person that wears a Bitcoin watch, I know they are representing sound money to the outside world. Make sure to check out those amazing Coin Vigilante timepieces down in the descriptions. I love those watches so much. I know how big of a hurdle it can be to have self-custody, but it's so freaking important to make that first step. We have to make sure it's as easy and simple as possible. And that's exactly what BitBox did. BitBox created the simplest and the easiest hardware wallet to use to get into self-custody. So get yourself a BitBox down from the link in the description. And when you use code Robin, you even get a 5% discount. The most important thing for your Bitcoin journey is not buying Bitcoin, but it's how to keep them. And yes, you have maybe the right tools, but how do you actually go ahead and stick it all together so it's the most secure for you personally? Self-custody is a deeply personalized journey, and the Bitcoin way is helping you exactly finding that correct setup for you personally. They are also helping you with securing your own cybersecurity. And if you want to go one step above all that, you can even get a consultation for a Plan B residency. Go to thebitcoinway.com/Robin and you will get a 30-minute free consultation. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called Microseed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With Microseed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because Microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. And we have right now a summer sale going on for 15% off. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today for $186, and you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io. Again, that's microseed.io to get your last backup tool you ever need.
Yeah, I think this has psychological reasons because people are familiar with their bank account, so they have it like they're a kid basically, and they have a good feeling about it because it was like there forever basically for their life, depending on how old they are, of course. But banks have been around for a lot of years, so I think they're more like familiar with that, and that is also why they are questioning Bitcoin more, even if you look at the facts, as we just discussed, the risk is like overstated. And but this is also good because there's then the opportunity. If you invest the time to learn about Bitcoin, to educate yourself around it, I think you have an edge over the market, and you have like these opportunities. So for example, if the whole world tomorrow would understand Bitcoin, we would see a completely different price and you would have no like upside left. Yeah.
Yeah, if everyone understands it, it's just growing to the extent that we are getting more efficient. So the world is deflation, so like, I don't know, like 1%, 3%, whatever the rate would be. And this is always the edge with early maturity, early adopters of something that coming in. I still feel we're in the early adopter phase, even though like there's some signs that we are getting to the maturity, early maturity kind of stage. One thing on the insights that I'm curious about, we talked about it before, where do you see people coming from the most? I mean, I don't know how much insights you have as 21 Bitcoin in what where the customers are coming from, but if you see like stock people or like real estate people or just like new people that haven't invested at all before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say we have a lot of people coming from the real estate crowd, I would say. So probably because they understand like the scarcity. I think this is something that resonates very, very good with them, because the investment thesis for real estate is a majority of it is because it's scarce. You cannot build infinite real estate in one location, of course. And I think this is something that resonates very good. I think we have a lot of stock investors too, but I think for them it's a bit harder to grasp Bitcoin, because if you have the mindset that something needs to be productive, quote unquote, and Bitcoin produces no cash flow, I think they're having a harder time evaluating Bitcoin if it's like overpriced, underpriced. They have no like formula to adhere to, and I think this is a psychological reason why they have a harder time going into Bitcoin. And we see more people from the real estate and also from the gold side, which are getting the fundamentals why you would invest into an asset or like a commodity, basically.
It's also interesting. You mentioned it before with the regulations, where we come from an innovative space, and you're a founder and you lead the 21 Bitcoin company. How was it when the regulation came with MiCA for a Bitcoin company? Does it make things maybe even easier, or is it like a real big challenge? And I heard also a lot that it's kind of hard for newcomers now to come in, because the MiCA hurdle is like way harder, and you have to all those lawyers and the resources to actually come in the game. How do you look at kind of Bitcoin in Europe?
Yeah, I think there are two sides to the MiCA regulation. So one is the hurdle is like super high. So if you have a business idea and you're a young startup and you are like a two-man show, for example, and you want to build up a cool product, a cool service, and you need the MiCA license, you won't get it, because the hurdles are so high, and there are no thresholds for like small companies to make it a bit easier to get into the market and establish yourself. So there's nothing like that. So you need to have a standard which is from the one side very capital intensive. So you need to have like minimum funding requirements all of the time when you operate your company. Also from an organizational side, I think to qualify for a MiCA license, you need at least 15 to 20 people to have all the roles that you need to have have all your duties basically covered, because you have like a lot of consumer protection there. You have a lot of IT infrastructure security that you need to fulfill, but also market manipulation, insider trading. You have so many different areas where you need like dedicated roles for it, dedicated persons. You can, it's not possible to have like one guy that's doing like 4 roles. So that would be like interest conflicts, and you wouldn't, the regulator wouldn't allow that. So this is something which makes me a bit sad, because as a founder, I know how hard it is to bootstrap something, and I think it kills quite a lot of the innovation in Europe. And if I was a founder now, I couldn't start 21 Bitcoin because of those hurdles. Even if you have 1 million euros on your bank account, you won't do it because you either have not the know-how and also not the team to really grow it. The other side is that you have like clear rules that you adhere to, which also opens up the possibilities for companies like 21 Bitcoin to partner with institutions. For example, we have a strategic partnership with an established German bank, so the German Volksbank or Raiffeisenbank in Ingolstadt, which is a renowned bank that is established, or that was established more than 150 years ago, that is partnering with us. And I think this wouldn't be possible if you have like a clear rule book where you need to follow, and also that institutions can evaluate if you are like a legitimate player. You get like this approval from the regulator. So this is something which is positive for us at least. And the another thing is Europe is quite fragmented. So we have a lot of countries here, more than 30 countries. And you have like all different regulators in every country. And before MiCA, you had to really go to every different regulator, which had different rules to apply for a license that you could offer your service actively in those countries. And with the MiCA, you get like one license that you can passport to all of the EU member states. So you gain access to a very broad market, more than 400 million people. And this is also, of course, a very big potential to grow your service, to bring your service to more people.
Is it actually different in America? I guess they also have very strict rules around if you want to buy and sell assets.
Yeah, I think so. So what I know is, for example, New York has the BIT license. So there's like a different regulation than other states. But I'm not 100% sure how it really works there.
Yeah. What's actually coming next for a Bitcoin exchange? As a founder and as a leader, you're probably always thinking about the next step and buying and selling. I love your shirts selling Bitcoin since I think block 700,000, something like that. And we hear a lot with the traditional financial things coming on the top of Bitcoin, with borrowing against the Bitcoin, with Bitcoin insurances. We have so many different things that we know from the fiat world that are now slowly actually integrating with Bitcoin. What is kind of your insights and your view on that?
Yeah, sure. So our core business will stay making Bitcoin available and accessible for everyone here in Europe, and also doing that very securely. So I think this will be our core business. But of course, we're seeing more demand from people that already have Bitcoin, also have like huge networks in Bitcoin, to start using their assets. And one thing that we are actively looking into with our partner bank is providing a service where you can send your Bitcoin to 21 Bitcoin and you get a fiat loan against that. So using Bitcoin as a collateral for fiat loans. So I think this will also enable that you can live off your Bitcoin probably in the future. So because of the fundamentals of Bitcoin, because it's so scarce, I think over the years it will grow more in value. And there's also like this play that real estate investors do with their real estate. So they leverage it, they borrow against it and live off of that. And because their real estate is appreciating over the years, they can refinance that. So this is a model that can be used. And I think this will also be probably in the future could be attractive also for Bitcoin. And what we are seeing is that banks now become really open to this idea, because Bitcoin is the perfect collateral. So it's like you can market to market the value every second, 24/7. You can sell it in every currency in every major currency 24/7, and you have almost no risk if you over collateralize the loan. So for example, if a client has one Bitcoin that is worth 100,000 euros and you give him a loan of 50,000 euros, you as a bank almost have no risk of like this a loan default, because you can sell those assets 24/7. And I think the margin on it is also very good, because you have like this low risk loan, and the market is pretty high on the interest rates now, so you can with a very low risk profile product you can earn a high margin. And this is what we already are seeing, that a lot of banks get interested into those kinds of products, because of course they also need to grow their market. They're seeing with falling rates, it's hard that they sell loans. It's hard to sell their saving plans, because you don't get enough yield, and so they're looking actively into different business models. And I think Bitcoin will play a key role in the future, also for them. And I hope that also banks come back to the initial use case, like secure custody. So this is how banks developed in the first place. And I think this will also be very important in the future. If more and more people hold significant amounts of Bitcoin, I think you need partners that you can trust to securely custody also the Bitcoin, maybe in different modes than we had in the last decades. For example, Bitcoin makes it possible to have like multi-signature wallets that you can also own one key. You can be very transparent about where the funds are. And I think this will ignite some innovation there also. Yeah.
It's super interesting when you think about all those different aspects, how amazing Bitcoin is as a collateral for banks. It kind of aligns all the incentive and all the game theory aspects for every single player, because even if you hate it, you still are incentivized to use it, which is kind of abnormal to think about that. One last thing before we come to the end routine, I want to talk with you about as a founder. I'm really interested in, because we talked about it before, what you enjoy most talking about is this being a founder and being a leader of a company. And you founded 21 Bitcoin, I think like 2020 was that the time around? And now it's 30 people. How was your journey coming from that to now this company and being kind of a global player within Europe?
I would say it's a roller coaster. If you're self-employed or if you're a founder, I think your job is to solve problems. So there are a lot of problems to solve if you're building like a financial institution and also a Bitcoin service. So because there are so many new things, the regulation is super new. The regulator does not even know they also have not figured out every detail, because the MiCA, for example, is a framework, but a lot of it is open to discussion, and you need to figure it out how to do it in the right way. You also have like all those other things that every company struggles with, like scaling. You need good people. You need to find talent that builds this vision with you. And yeah, I think a roller coaster describes it best. When we first started our public launch, I would say in 2022. It really went very good in the beginning, and we were back then we were at another bank, and the business was like growing very fast. We onboarded hundreds of customers every month, and the volume increased every month. And then suddenly we have received a letter from the bank saying that they will close our bank account in 30 days notice. And we stood there and thought to ourselves, oh my God, how should we transfer those 1,000 customers to another bank account? How we couldn't get one so fast. We still had some backups, of course, because you need to make like good risk management. But 30 days was like crazy. And Dominic, my co-founder, and I think this week when we received the letter, we didn't sleep like for 1 week, or not good. But we managed it. So we tried to find solutions. And what I have learned is, I like the claim, the obstacle is the way. You need to really think about it and not complain about it. You need to shift your perspectives, and you need to climb every obstacle, and it fosters your way, and you enhance yourself and your company with every problem, with every struggle you overcome. And I think you're getting more resilient. Basically the same with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, every challenge Bitcoin has faced over the last 15 to 16 years, it made the network more resilient.
It's like almost like a fireman, where it's like something coming up, oh shit, like I cannot sleep because I have to get that fire out of the way. How much is actually reactive versus kind of you going for something, you're developing something, versus you have to react to customers, you have to react to the market, you have to react to things coming up your way?
I would say it depends on the market cycle. So, for example, if you are in a bear market, if you are in a bear market, you have more time to really focus on your product, to really focus on your infrastructure, and really build things. Once the bull market hits, of course, as you said, you're like a fireman. You're only trying to onboard the people. You're supporting them. You're helping them. You don't have like so much time building new products or services. So it really depends on the market cycle, I would say. Yeah.
What is your number one advice for people that want to start something in Bitcoin?
I would say you need to be like very focused. Focus on what you can do very good, what you can do better than others, and be consistent. So keep going. It will get hard. You will face problems, but you need to be consistent and keep going.
If it doesn't get hard, you're not pushing enough.
Yeah.
We have one question that I ask each and every one of my guests. I have one more question that I'm curious about. Did you ever, or do you have ever, this imposter syndrome? Because you have achieved a lot with 21 Bitcoin, where you feel like, why me? Like, why am I in that place?
I don't think so, because I try to stay humble, and honestly, I don't see it that way. So the journey has now been 5 years, and yeah, of course, our company is successful, we are successful, and we're super happy about that. But honestly, we are like doing so much things. We're like heading, our vision is to really bring Bitcoin to everyone here in Europe. And we're like very much forward. We're seeing, or we're looking forward, and we're not like retrospectively looking back what we have achieved. So I think I don't see it personally that way, and that's why I'm not like I think I don't have imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Interesting. We have one question that I ask each and every one of my guests, and the question is, what can we learn? Oh, you have been a repeating guest. With repeating guests, I have a different question actually now. I forgot that one. With repeating guests, I have one question. What have you learned since you have last been on? And it's been a while. It's almost 2 years now in December, so it's like 1.5 years now. Outside of Bitcoin.
People matter most. I think connections are super valuable. Bitcoin is great, and stacking a lot of sats is great, but yeah, if you're doing business, you need great people. If you're having in your private life, having good relationships is key. I think you should not forget that. And honestly, I learned that in the last 2 years, because we worked a lot. I was also probably a bit too much into Bitcoin in the first few years, and I tried to really stack every set, and I think that's also cool. I think it makes sense, but I think you also need to live your life, have good connections, have good people around you, and that makes your life more purposeful, I would say, and more worth living, because in the end, we all will die. We all have finite time, and I think time is super, super precious. And spend your time with people that make you happy, that drive you, that make you feel good, and that keep pushing you.
I love that message. Really, really cool. As you know, we have an end routine where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest actually is. And the previous guest asked you the question, what is the most important aspect of Bitcoin that you want to teach the world?
It's the first digital form of money, and it's finite.
I love that. Simple and clean. Thank you so much, Daniel, for being on. Before I let you go, where can people find you, and where can people find 21 Bitcoin?
You will find us on every social media platform. Just type in 21 Bitcoin. You will also find me at X, for example, Daniel 21 BTC.
Awesome. And now the music starts in the back of us. So we'll go now there. And thank you so much for being on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, and thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening, for joining us today. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Bye-bye. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.